So I'm going to show you how to make these pizza toasts today, so stay tuned. So pizza toast, let's talk about pizza toast and how it fits into the Eat Well guide. As you can see, we've got quite a lot of the different sections of the Eat Well guide. So we've got those 5 sections. So we've got carbohydrates, we've got fruit and vegetables, fats and oils, protein, and we've got dairy and alternatives. And if we think about this pizza toast here, we can see that we've got the base, which is a carbohydrate. We've got the sauce, which is a tomato sauce, so it does contain vegetables. And the one that I'm going to show you has peppers and it has onions hidden in there as well, so you're getting some extra of your 5 a day. We've then got some dairy from the cheese that we're going to pop on the top, and then you can add some meat as well, some protein, which I have added onto this one here. So this is what we call a composite meal because it includes all of the sections of the Eat Well guide. So let's find out how we make it. Stay tuned. So to make your pizza toast, you are going to need the following ingredients. So you've got, for your bread base, you've got 250 grams of plain flour. I've got some sugar. I've got a packet of yeast, but you could just use a teaspoon of yeast. And then I've got some warm water as well. That's all you're going to need for your pizza base. For the tomato sauce, you're going to need some oil. I've got some oil and then I've just mixed some garlic in it already, so it makes it a little bit more infused with the garlic. A tin of tomatoes. You can use chopped tomatoes or plum tomatoes, it doesn't matter for this because we're going to blitz it up anyway. Some peppers and some onions, so it's a great way of hiding vegetables. And then for your toppings, you can use whatever toppings that you want. I've got some pepperoni, I've got a mixture of cheeses, so I've got some cheddar cheese, which is grated, and then I've got some fresh mozzarella. I've got some of my peppers and some more of my onions as well. I've also got some pepper and some Italian seasoning to go with it. So those are all the ingredients that you need. Watch these videos to show you how to prep the onion and the pepper, and then we'll come back together and I'll show you how to make your pizza base. For your pizza base, you will have a large bowl, and in that bowl you've got your flour. You can sieve your flour in it, and then you can add a pinch of salt in there straight away to help flavour and just strengthen the gluten molecules that are going to help make our bread dough base. What you're also going to do is you need to make a yeast mixture, and this yeast mixture is what's going to give us the texture and the stretchiness to our pizza dough base. So in a jug of warm water, you're going to add a teaspoon of sugar. That's going to dissolve, and that's also the food for our yeast, because our yeast is a bacteria, a good bacteria, don't worry about that. And it needs food in order to work. It needs heat as well, and it needs a little bit of time. So I'm going to add the sachet of yeast in there as well. Look like grain of sand. Okay, then all you need to do is with a teaspoon, you just need to stir that all together. And what you'll come up with, it'll look a little bit like a cloudy mixture. Okay, but you're stirring all and letting the sugar dissolve into the water, and you're letting the yeast start to grow and multiply, and this is called fermentation, and it's this fermentation that's going to help us have some successful bread bases. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to leave that for 5 minutes just to give the bacteria a little bit of time to waken up, because they've been dormant. So you just got to give them a little bit of time, and what you'll notice is there's going to be a layer of foam that is being produced on the top, and that's carbon dioxide, and that's what's going to help give our bread this really nice the texture of like the bubbles basically. So we're just going to leave that now for 5 minutes, and then I'll show you what to do with it. Okay, so now you have left your yeast mixture. You can see that it has got the foam on top of it. That is what you need. So you just need to use your teaspoon, make a well in the middle of your flour, and then you're just going to scrape all of the foamy bit onto the top, and then you're just going to pour half of your water, your liquid in, and then to start you're going to use the spoon just to start to bring it all together. This will just help you from getting really sticky hands. Don't forget you're going to have one hand to move the bowl with and get anything else, and then another hand that's going to be used to get the dough and knead the dough a little bit. Now I can see that I haven't added enough water, so I'm just going to add a little at a time until I get a nice consistent dough. Okay, so you can see in my bowl that it's not all quite come together a lot yet. I've got a lot of flour still at the bottom of it, so I'm going to have to add a little bit more water. So you can always add, but you can never take away. So just make sure you add a little bit at a time. So you can start to get your hands in. So I'm going to use my hand. I'm just going to slowly start to bring it together. Now, if you can remember making our rock cakes, this is the same kind of process that we're trying to do with our bringing the dough together. We want it to be a slightly wetter dough than our rock cakes. So you just need to make sure that you keep adding water until all of that flour down at the bottom is being incorporated into your dough. And then what you should end up with is you should be able to end up with a dough that cleans the side of your bowl, which makes it a lot easier to wash up. Okay, so I've got no flour left in the bottom of my bowl and my dough looks like this. Place your bowl to one side, and then you're just going to get a little bit of flour onto the work surface, and then you're going to start kneading it. Now to knead it, all you're doing there is you're stretching the gluten molecules, and that's what's going to give us a really nice stretchy dough. So you kind of like bring it over, fold it and push it away. That's going to give us a nice smooth dough, but it's also going to help the yeast distribute throughout the dough, and it's also going to help us activate all of that gluten, which is going to give us a really nice dough. Now you're going to have to do this for 5 minutes until you've got a nice stretch on your dough. So once you've kneaded your dough for about 5 minutes, you'll notice that the texture will change. The texture will become a lot smoother, and you should be able just to poke your finger in and it will spring back. This mixture makes 4 pita breads, so the easiest thing for you to do is just to divide it into quarters. And then what you can do is you can roll those, and you can actually roll them into any shape that you want. So I'm going to just roll mine into pita shapes. So again, just put a bit of flour onto the work surface. And then with a rolling pin, you are going to just roll them out. And then once you're happy with the thickness and the shape of yours, you can just place it onto a baking tray. So just keep going until you've got the mixtures that you need. So once you have made all of the pita dough that you would like, just place them onto the baking tray, and then with a fork you're just going to lightly just prick the top of them. That's just going to prevent any air bubbles from coming up and producing some air pockets on your doughs. So once they are ready, you can pop those straight into the oven, and they'll take about 10 minutes to be done. So make sure you keep an eye on them, check them after 5 minutes, and then if they've got a really nice golden brown colour on them, you can take them out, because we are going to pre-cook them again later on when we've got our pizza toppings on. So 5 minutes, check, and then you can just cook them a little bit longer if they need to. To make the tomato sauce for your pizza bread, all you're going to need is some half a chopped pepper, half a red onion, you can use a white onion. I've got a tin of chopped tomatoes, and then I've got some oil and some garlic together, and I've got some seasonings as well. I've got my toppings ready to go for my pizza here, so I have got myself prepared that way. To make your sauce, you're going to need a saucepan, a wooden spoon, and if you've got a hand blender, you may use a hand blender just to blitz the sauce together to make it really nice and smooth. A food processor will do the same thing too. If you don't have either of those, what you can do in order to cook the sauce so it's nice and smooth, you can grate your onion and you can grate your pepper, and that will just give you more like ease. It'll just give you smaller chunks, so it won't be as chunky as if we were just going to use just normal cut up vegetables here. So you've got your options there. So a hand blender, a normal food processor, or you can grate your vegetables into your sauce that way. So all you need to do is to get your saucepan. I'm going to have mine on a small ring because I've got a small base on my pan, and I'm going to make sure that the handle is faced inwards. I'm using a wooden spoon to stir also so that it doesn't conduct the heat. I'm going to turn it on to a medium heat. So I've got an electric oven here, so I'm going to use electric number 5. On a gas, you just used a little of a medium heat there. So in your pan, you're going to add your oil. So I've got a tablespoon of oil, and then I have got some garlic as well. It's up to you how much garlic you want to add. So if you really like garlic, add quite a bit. You could probably add 1 or 2 cloves. Don't have to add it if you don't want to. I'm going to add my red onions. We're just going to let the flavours all start to combine and marinate together. I'm then going to add my peppers. And then straight away I'm going to start stirring. So by stirring it, you're getting all of the vegetables covered in the oil. And you're making sure that the flavours are starting to like all marinate together and give us a really nice flavour. So we're just gently going to cook those flavours out. So every now and again, you're just going to keep stirring it and stirring it. Now that your onions and peppers have cooked a little bit, you'll notice that they've gone a little bit soft. So we've got all of the flavours going on. We've got the onions have gone softer and the peppers have gone softer too, and the garlic has all started to marinate in there, and you can really smell the flavours going on. It smells really, really delicious. So what you've got to make sure that you do now is you're going to just turn the heat off while you add the tin tomatoes, just because it's going to sizzle quite aggressively. So if you just take it off the heat or turn the heat down, you can add your tomatoes. Then you can put it back on the heat, just on a medium heat, and then you're just going to combine all of those flavours together. And this is where you can add some mixed herbs if you wanted to. So you can add a teaspoon of mixed herbs, and you can add some salt and pepper if you wish to. Just give those a really good stir in. And just when it's all heated through, turn the heat off, and then you're going to be ready to use the hand blender or your food processor to take the chunks away. So when you take the pan off the heat, just make sure that you put it onto a heat-proof surface. I've got a heat mat here that I'm just going to place it on. As you can see, that is what it will look like. It has got all of the tomato flavours going on together, and it is still quite chunky. Now this sauce can be used as a pasta sauce, so you could just leave it like that and serve it with some pasta, so it is very versatile, or you can blend it down like what I'm going to do is then it'll just be a sauce that you can use for pizzas. You could also then mix in with your pasta if you like more of a smooth paste, and then you could also use it for a lasagna as well. So make sure that your spoon is out. And then with your hand blender, you should always make sure that it stays upright, and we're going to make sure that we just move it around constantly and slowly. Now do make sure that you get an adult to help you with this, because it is electrical and it has got a blade on it as well. Your sauce might also be a little bit warm, so you can wait for it to cool down completely and then do this. So you're going to just keep blending it around. So you can see as what I do is I push it down and then I turn it off just while I keep moving it. Now it's up to you how chunky you want this sauce. If you like little chunks of it, then you can leave little bits, or if you like it really, really smooth, you can keep going. So I'm going to keep going for a little bit to make sure it's really nice and smooth. Once your sauce has been blended to the consistency that you like it, just make sure that you get an adult to help you with taking the hand blender away, because it has got a blade in it. So make sure it is unplugged, and then you can take the electric part away from it, and then you are left with the other bit that you just need to wash. So you can see the sauce that I've got is a different colour. And that's just because of all the vegetables that we've added in. So it's a really good sauce to hide vegetables in, because when you look at this, you wouldn't be able to tell that it's got peppers and it's got onions in it. So it's a great way of hiding vegetables. So once we've got our sauce ready, we are ready to construct our pizza. My pizza breads are out of the oven, and they've got a nice golden brown colour to them. And I'm happy with the size of them. So it's now all about constructing your pizza toast. So I am just going to add some of the tomato to the bottom. Again, this is however much you want to have on it. You can have as little or as much as you want. This is a really nice dish to do with the family, because everybody could have their own toppings and everybody could do whatever they wanted to do on it. Now, it's up to you if you are a cheese person and then you add your toppings, or if you're a toppings person and then you add your cheese. I add my cheese, because I like to see the toppings that I've got. So I'm just going to give a little bit, I've got some grated cheddar. So I'm just going to add some grated cheddar onto the top. Then I'm going to do one with salami. So I'm just going to put a little bit of salami on the top of this one. Then I'm going to add some onions. Some onions onto this one. Then add some of those peppers. So you can see that I'm telling a story about what's actually in the sauce as well. So I've actually got some peppers in my sauce and some onions in my sauce. So it does just tell the person who's eating it what's in their food, which I think is nice. Then I also have some fresh mozzarella as well. So I've just taken the fresh mozzarella. So I'll pop a video in now to show you how to do the mozzarella. Once you've done and you've got your chopped mozzarella sorted, you can add just chunks of the mozzarella onto the top there. I just like the fresh mozzarella because it just gives it that authenticity of being an Italian dish. Once you've got that there, you might want to add a bit of seasoning onto the top. So I'm just going to add a little bit of pepper, and then I'm also going to add just a little bit of my mixed herbs too. Then they're ready to go into the oven. So you can see that I've got a nice array of vegetables on there. So once they're done, you can pop them into the oven. You're only going to cook them until they look nice and ready, so about 5 minutes in the oven, and then we'll have a look and see what they've looked like when they're completely cooked. When your pizza snacks are ready, all you need to do is take them out of the oven and make sure that you use oven gloves. Then you can make sure that they are ready to serve straight away. So you place them onto your plate, and then if you want to chop them up, that you can do. So I'm just going to chop mine up. So just be really careful not to bite into them straight away, because obviously the cheese is just melted, so they're really, really hot. Oh yes, it looks delicious. These are one of my all-time favourite things to have for lunch, so I can't wait to get stuck into these. So once you've got them chopped up, you can start trying them. So those are how you make your pizza toast.